Hello and welcome back to the Anfield Edition podcast. My name is Owen and joining me today is Taylor, writer for both Anfield HQ and our very own Anfield Edition. So say hello, mate.
Hello.
And our special guest today is Grizz Rumours. He's an avid Liverpool fan and a part of the Fat Back 4 podcast on the LFC Day Trippers account. So say hello, mate.
Hello, mate.
So today we'll be discussing the potential incomings and outgoings of the January transfer window. Obviously, there's been a lot going on the last few days with Coutinho and Van Dijk and everything. So we're going to look to round that up a bit and maybe talk about some other potential deals you might not have heard of. First of all, let's start on the positive note. Let's ignore Coutinho for a bit longer. Liverpool have already got one deal over the line this January with the acquisition of Virgil van Dijk on Boxing Day being made official at the turn of the year. The 75 million offer was accepted, making the Dutchman the most expensive defender of all time. Off the back of a Derby Day win, we need to start with Van Dijk. What impact has he made already? Obviously, it's quite hard to judge him with just one game, but from what I saw, he was class, and obviously the winner in the 84th minute. We've got to talk about that. What did you think, Grizz, of his performance against Everton?
It was amazing, wasn't it? It was just like a dream come true for him, wasn't it? Well, for him and most fans as well. I mean, I noticed a lot of people were sort of just trying their luck with sort of tweets such as, oh, this is all made for a Van Dijk winner in the last minute. Well, lo and behold, it was near enough for Van Dijk winner in the last minute, wasn't it? But look, apart from the goal, he just brings everything that we need to our team, doesn't he? I mean, everything that we lack, he brings. Authority, sort of strength, height, leadership quality. He brings all that to the table, and you know, it's just. I think it's probably one of the most significant. Well, it's definitely obviously the most expensive record breaking, but it's definitely the most significant purchase as well in recent times, and I think really could be a turning point in our fortunes. Hopefully.
I felt as a fan, watching the game, I felt so much calmer just seeing him at the back within that back four. It was so helpful to see that. You know, we were after him all summer, Taylor, weren't we? Given our defensive problems. Do you think he is the one piece in the puzzle, or are we talking there's multiple signings that need to be made to sort of solve that defence?
I don't think he's like the final piece of the puzzle. I still think there's pieces missing, but he's a massive step in the right direction without doubt. Obviously, his goal to win the derby on Friday was the main talking point of his debut, but I was very impressed with him throughout the game defensively. And from the off, he looked like the leader we'd been lacking at the back for a number of years now. And you could just see that when he was shouting to carriers continuously throughout the game to come for the ball and clear it. So it's easy to see why Klopp was ready to wait to get his man no matter the price tag. And you saw that with Naby Keita as well in the summer. It's clear he's trying to build a spine at the team, which we haven't had under Rodgers, Hodgson, any of the past managers like that. And I think he sees Van Dijk as a pivotal part of that. I still firmly believe we do need another central defender to come in between now and the start of next season. It'll be interesting to see how Matip performs alongside Van Dijk, because our fan base have been saying for so long that Matip needs to play alongside a leader like Van Dijk, someone that's less error-prone than Lovren. But so far, I'm not convinced by Matip. I think he gets away with a lot of criticism that Lovren gets slated for. So it will also be interesting to see how Lovren performs alongside a leader like Van Dijk, because at Southampton, he performed very well alongside Jose Font, who was another leader.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree. I think the leadership aspect of his game is by and none the most important. If you look back at centre-backs we've had previously, Hyypiä, Carragher and Agger, remember that being a golden string of centre-backs that we could look towards and say that is the focus point in our defence. Like, everyone around them is going to be looking at them for leadership, and that was the most important aspect and why we had a good defensive record before, under Benitez especially. Obviously, going into Van Dijk and how much we paid for him, Grizz, 75 million is a huge, huge fee, and obviously it comes with the pressures with that. What do you think Van Dijk's true value is? Like, obviously, a lot of people have been saying he's not a £75 million player. Well, Neymar's not 220 million. Coutinho, you could argue, isn't 146, but that's the nature of the market now. What do you think he is to Liverpool, and how much is he actually worth, Grizz?
Well, it's difficult, isn't it? It's difficult to work out, since the Neymar deal, it's just blown everything up, hasn't it? I mean, you know, every sort of Tom, Dick and Harry player is like worth 40 million now. It's like sort of the 40 million is the new like sort of 15, 20 million now. Do you know what I mean? So yeah. I mean, to us, he's priceless. That's the best way of putting it. To us, in our current predicament, or the predicament that we were in before him, he's priceless. And so therefore, you know, I'm not one of these that, to be honest, gives a shit about the price. I just wanted a player at all costs kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. We were that bad. We were that lacking. That type of defender. I really wasn't bothered about the price. We all know about sort of the net spend and how much we actually spent under FSG, etc., etc. You know, we don't want to you probably guys don't want to go into that, but do you know what I mean? It's like we know we've got money. Go and get the player. And, you know, sometimes, I mean, you know, with all their sort of criticisms that they receive, sometimes you've got to give them a pat on the back. And they did stick to their word. And basically, you know, Southampton got their asking price and we had to go and get it. So, I mean, look, realistically, let's take out the Neymar deal. Realistically, if Van Dijk came on the market as per normal, in a normal situation, you'd probably say around 50 million would be his sort of maximum value. Do you know what I mean? So I'd probably say about 50 million.
Yeah, I'd agree. What do you think, Taylor? What would you say 50 million's a fair price if it was, you know, in a different market?
Yeah, I agree with Grizz with that. If the Neymar deal hadn't gone through, you'd be looking at about £50 million. I mean, you look at recent days, Harry Maguire's being linked with a move to Man City for £50 million. It's only £25 million less than Van Dijk. And also, I think a lot of pundits slate the deal for Van Dijk being too much, but I haven't seen many slate the Lukaku deal. But the way I look at it is United needed a striker. They spent £75 million. They got a striker that brought them goals. We needed a defender that stopped us leaking goals, and we paid £75 million for that. I don't really see the difference between the two.
Exactly. Well, the thing is, we have to remember, we actually had a deal for 55 million before it all went tits up.
Yeah. So
you got to remember that, you know, we had to pay the extra 20 million as a premium for being twats or someone being a twat.
So there's a 20 million twat fee.
There you go. Exactly. So, you know, we were actually getting it for the market rate, but yeah, just typical us that we had to sort of pay a premium.
Yeah. I think we'll move on to Coutinho now, unfortunately. You know, he's been one of our best players so far this season. I'd say he's been up there with Salah performance-wise. He has gone almost like, with how good Salah's been, he's been going slightly under the radar with some of his performances this season. Obviously, we all saw, just, you know, despite the speculation, he was putting in these good performances. But Saturday night, he's left us. The English transfer record deal was announced. It was £146 million for him to move to the new camp, and it'll be a huge loss for us going forward. He's been an excellent servant for us for 5 years, as we said. What were your thoughts when the deal was announced, Grizz?
Yeah, pretty much the same as the majority of the fan base in terms of the timing was a bit awkward, left a bit of a sour taste, didn't it? Sort of in mid-season. But if we look at it again, we've got to take our red blinkers off and say, look, 145 million for Phil Coutinho. I mean, that is an amazing amount of money for a player who, yes, only this season has sort of maybe consistently been world class. I mean, previously he's had bits of the season where he looks unplayable, but we've got to remember he's been very, very, you know, in and out, up and down. Do you know what I mean? So 145 million for Phil Coutinho, in my opinion, is a fantastic amount of money. Just the awkwardness of the timing, isn't it? We would have rather he went either in the summer or the following summer. You know, January leaves us in a bit of a limbo with regards to sort of replacing him, but it is what it is. I'm not one of these that's too fussed and sort of crying about it. Or I'm gonna like, sort of, you know, it's done, it's dusted. He didn't want to be here. We tried our best. Jurgen Klopp tried his best to keep him here. I think we've got a fantastic deal out of it. It's just a bit of a pity that, you know, he didn't stay another few months.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. I think it was always going to happen eventually. I think we all saw it coming, whether it be in January or the summer. I think it would have been a lot worse if we lost him pre to the season, which we thought we were going to. I think ultimately we've actually got out more money of Barcelona than we would have if we sold him in the summer. So there's always that side of the coin. I think I'm just sad to see him go. There's so many good memories that I've associated with Coutinho over the years, and it's just upsetting we weren't, you know, able to push on as much as we probably could And I think now we were starting to reach that level where we were going to start pushing on. Coutinho would have been an integral part to that, so it's sad to see him go. Obviously, Taylor, what did you think when you saw, him holding up a Barcelona shirt? Unfortunately,
yeah, it's a pretty sad moment to see. We're building up under Klopp to something special. It looks like we're building a spine team, and with Van Dijk just signing a few days earlier, and it's another top player that's left us after Torres, after Suarez. It's just another one to add to the list. So it'll be interesting to see how Klopp does replace him, or whether he does replace him this summer, this January, because we've seen reports that he may look to wait to get his man like he did with Van Dijk, like he did with Keita.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all. Obviously, we're going on the potential replacement sort of list. We've got lined up for Coutinho. There is Thomas Lemar. There's also Riyad Mahrez that's also been thrown into it as well. Who would you like to see at Anfield, Taylor? Because I'd actually prefer Mahrez, if I'm honest, over Lemar, just because of the fee that's involved. I think 90 million for Thomas Lemar, who hasn't really done too well this season. I think he's only scored 2 goals in Monaco, albeit their side's been stripped of every sort of talent they had in the summer. I haven't been too impressed with him, and I would think obviously Mahrez has got that Premier League experience as well. Did you see him slotting into the Liverpool side this January, Taylor?
Who, Riyad Mahrez?
Riyad Mahrez, yeah, first of all, and then we'll talk about Lemar, of course.
Yeah, well, it was always going to be tough to replace Coutinho. I mean, not only the quality of the player was, for a club like Liverpool where we are at the moment, we weren't going to replace him directly. And also the versatility that he brings. He can play on the left, he can play in central midfield. It allows Klopp to rotate that formation, not only in-game, but also in between games.
Yeah.
But I think Mahrez, when you look at what he's done for Leicester this season, he's been spectacular. A couple of seasons ago, was arguably the main man along with Kante to go into that Premier League title. I think it would be a great addition for £50 million when you look at his stats with the players he's playing alongside with, his stats, his goal stats. And he deserves his shot at playing for a big club now. He's kind of done his time at Leicester, that level. He needs to move up to play alongside the likes of Sadio Mane, Mohamed Salah, Roberto Firmino.
Yeah.
And if he did come in, I'd most likely see a change in formation to the 4-4-2 with Mane on the left, Mahrez on the right, and then Salah and Firmino up top, which on the few occasions this season has worked really well, even with Coutinho in the side. Lemar, £90 million is a big fee for a player that's only 22. He's relatively unproven. He was a pivotal part of their title-winning season to dethrone PSG in Ligue 1. But this season, when all those players left, like Bernardo Silva, he hasn't taken the team on his back and carried them as said by only 2 goals.
It's not the same, obviously, with Coutinho. I feel that he can really take a game by the scruff of the neck. Maybe Lamar's not at that level just yet. Grizz, if I'm not too sure, obviously, what you know about Lemar. But if if there's anything you'd like to share, go ahead.
I'm pretty much agree with you. I mean, my biggest problem, even though it's not my money, and I know earlier on I said about don't give a shit how much they cost, but now I'm suddenly going to sound like a hypocrite. But I just don't think he's worth 90. Actually, I'm not going to sound like a hypocrite. I'll tell you why. Because I'm going to explain it. Because look,
come on, Grace.
But Van Dijk we needed, right? Yeah. So Van Dijk was at all cost. So the 75 million made sense to most fans. It was not a problem. Lemar is in a group of players that sort of we're looking at or targeting, or sort of not as a necessarily a like for like for Phil Coutinho, but sort of another attacking playmaker stroke, anywhere, sort of, a player that can play anywhere across the front 3 positions, sometimes, play behind. And I just don't think Lemar is worth 90 million. Now, obviously, that's just a personal opinion. I mean, obviously, better pundits out there, quality talent scouts and whatever will tell you, he's absolutely amazing. I just personally, for the value, I agree. I think, for the value Mahrez would give you for half the price would be sort of more beneficial. I mean, he's a bit older. He's sort of kind of in his prime. I get that Lemar has potential and sort of he can grow into this world-class player. I don't think he's world-class right now. I think he's got the potential to be world-class. I just don't see us paying 90 million for him, which is the problem. I mean, Monaco are not budging from that fee. I I know for a fact that we bid 75 million for him in the summer, but that was sort of when we thought Phil was going.
And that's also when we didn't have Salah as well. That's worth pointing out.
Well, exactly. So, I can't see us. Well, you never know with Liverpool. That's the thing, though, anymore. We're just mad, aren't we? We might suddenly pull out 90 million and say, all right, fuck it, here's 90 million. But I can't see us, giving them 90 million for Lamar at the moment. And that's the problem we have at the moment. I'd rather much prefer, there are better targets out there for far less. I know we've made an inquiry about Nabil Fekir, the Lyon playmaker captain as well. I think he's captain, actually. That might be fake news, so double check that. But yeah, wonderful playmaker, much more in the mold of sort of playing in the Coutinho role in terms of where Coutinho plays sort of centrally. So that would suit, Fekir would suit that role far more. But, obviously Lamar and Mahrez would sort of fit more the wider role. So yeah, there's a few options that I'd personally rather take up than Lamar, but it seems as though Rafa's not our manager. Where am I going with this? It seems as though Jurgen's first primary target is Lamar.
Yeah, we spent 35 million on Andy Carroll once, so you never know what could happen.
We're mad, yeah, exactly. Oh, he is, isn't he?
Yeah, Fekir is. Because Gonalons and Lacazette left.
Ah, there you go.
There's your knowledge, Grizz. Well done.
There you go.
Brought something to the table. Another player who's subject to a move away, unfortunately, from Liverpool is Emre Can. We've had a lot of rumours, I think, from Sky Italia recently coming out that there's already a deal agreed with Juventus. His contract is expiring in the summer, hence he can negotiate now for a free transfer in January. It'd be a huge loss for Liverpool, in my opinion. I'm a big fan of Can and what he brings to the table at Liverpool. But there's one player I do really want to talk about, and that's Lazio's, if I can say it properly, Sergej Milinkovic-Savic. I think I did an alright job there. Yeah, it's another young midfielder with huge potential in a similar vein to Can. Savic has emerged as one of the best midfielders in Italy. At 6'3", dominates the midfield with his aerial presence. But his greatest asset is his link-up play with Lazio's wide players. I don't know if you can remember, obviously, Filippo Inzaghi, the Italy striker, who's currently the manager of Lazio. He's actually using a 3-5-1-1 system. And it's been hugely successful this season. I think they sit in the Europa League spots at the moment, which is brilliant for Lazio. Would you like to see Savic as Emre Can's replacement? Should he leave this summer, Grizz? Is there anything you know about Savic from Lazio?
I think he's an absolute monster. I rave about him every other week, kind of thing. He's along with Keita and Savic. That would be my dream combination in midfield. We actually did look at Savic around the time of Keita, but we went for Keita. I can't really see us moving for him. We just couldn't afford him. Basically, Lazio want a ridiculous amount of money, but he's an absolute beast. He's an absolute machine. Suits the Premier League down to the ground. Would absolutely love him. I think PSG are sort of sniffing around him. I think that's more likely his destination. But just a quick thing on Emre. I don't know. You obviously guys haven't read some of my tweets, but I actually don't think he's going.
Do you know?
So there's a bit of an exclusive now there for you. So Emre Can, in my opinion, let's see, are confident he will sign a new contract. So there you go.
Is that based on Klopp's obviously meetings with him? I'm not sure if it was you or someone else that tweeted that he's been having meetings with Can regularly on a weekly basis to discuss his future role with the club. Is that something you? They obviously chat all the time. He's a player of Klopp's, and Klopp likes him a lot, and we all know Klopp loves his players, so I'm sure they chat. I'm not privy to any sort of conversations they may have about this, but just a general feeling from what I know, from what people tell me, there is a growing sense of belief. Well, I said it back in December, actually, when I first got the news that all this Juve talk and everything. Yeah, he is. There's no doubt he is. They want him bad. They made two bids for him in the summer. Yeah.
One actually reached like 30 million, and so for FSG and Klopp to turn down 30 million for a player that possibly could leave for a free just didn't make sense. If they kind of knew that he was going, they would have probably taken that 30 million. I mean, look, it's not. What I'm trying to say is it's not done and dusted with this Juve stuff. There's no agreement with Juve. It's all bollocks, basically. Juve propaganda, just like the Barca propaganda. But the difference here being is Phil had made up his mind that he's going. Emre hasn't made up his mind, and there's a very good chance he will stay on.
That's huge if he does, in my opinion. I'd love to see him alongside Keita next season. Taylor, obviously, I've spoke about Savic and everything. But say, because I think they're demanding like 90 million or whatever, similar to Lamar, obviously, given how crucial they both are to their teams. And we might not even get our man if we lose Chan. We might not even get Savic. Central midfield is a huge topic of debate, and it has been for years at Liverpool. I think knowing the right combinations, whether it's Henderson, Wijnaldum, I know they get a lot of stick on Twitter, of course. Emre Can, though, is someone that I think is generally appreciated as quite a good player for us and someone that has a big future at the club. Could you see him alongside Naby Keita next season, Taylor, or are there any other names you'd sort of expect to go alongside him, whether it be Henderson or Wijnaldum?
I could see Emre Can nailing down that first team spot ahead of Henderson and Wijnaldum, if he was to say, alongside Keita. If we were to lose Chan on a free to Juventus, then Savic would be my first choice. I think that being that tall, strong brute in the midfield that can link up with the attackers and the rest of the midfield and drive forward with the ball would be something we haven't had in quite a while in our midfield. But if we were to sign a Coutinho replacement like Lamar, like Mahrez, with the addition of Keita coming in as well in the summer, then I'd like to see us switch attention to a defensive midfielder or a midfield controller, someone in the mould of Diawara or Jorginho or Fabinho, someone that can kind of just like command in front of that back four, but not just for the defensive aspect, but I think going along the lines with the VVD, Virgil van Dijk transfer, and whether he's the last piece in the jigsaw, I think not only our defence is the problem, I think we do have a problem in midfield of being able to, when we're in the lead in the last 2 minutes, controlling games. We seem to be going at full throttle looking for the next goal, when I think with the addition of someone like Jorginho or Diawara, someone who can just get the ball and keep it for a few minutes and tone down the tempo of the game would be a good addition.
So we need a prime Lucas Leiva, is what you're basically saying, Taylor. We need prime Lucas Leiva in the midfield and we're fine.
He's been amazing for Lazio so far.
Bring him back, that's what I say. That'd be brilliant. I was a big fan of Lucas when he used to play for us. I was a Lucas advocate. But obviously, he did start to age. You could tell that in his game.
Yeah.
Putting him at centre back probably isn't the best idea either, but it's Klopp, I'm not going to argue. Now for Manuel Kanji, lesser known quantity on the world stage. The Basel centre back is just 22 years old, but has drawn interest from numerous European clubs. He's featured in both of Switzerland's World Cup playoffs against Northern Ireland, where they obviously went on to progress to the World Cup there, and in all but one of Basel's games this season. Akanji's actually caught the eye of Jurgen Klopp and his former club Borussia Dortmund, who actually wanted to bring him in this window. What do you know about him, Grizz? I think we played. We saw United play Basel a bit earlier this season. I think they played him last season as well. So I know I've watched those games personally. I was very impressed with Akanji actually. I thought he was very good for a young centre back. What do you know of him, Grizz?
Nothing.
Absolutely.
So that's about that.
Yeah. I don't blame you at all.
No. Basically, look, I've done the usual. As soon as I found out that we're interested or we're linked or we've been talking to him, then you get on the old YouTube, don't you? And then you see what you can sort of. Yeah, exactly, exactly. So, and YouTube for a defender is awful. You know, all you get is sort of just a few headers away and then sort of a few passes into midfield, and everyone thinks, "Oh, look at this centre back breaking the lines." Oh, go away. Yeah. So, I mean, he's by all means, for sort of the people that I've chatted to who sort of know far more than me, say that he's very similar to Varane at Real Madrid.
Yeah.
They say in terms of the sort of the physique, dominant, good on the ball, quick. his positioning still could be worked on, but in terms of his physical presence, very imposing for a young lad.
Yeah, I was gonna say
It kind of suits. It just kind of sort of sounds like the perfect centre back alongside Van Dijk. Do you know what I mean? But then I think to myself, Joe Gomez could do that role. Do you know what I mean? We could save ourselves some money and sort of go for Joe Gomez, but apparently we've kind of agreed a deal in principle in terms of. I personally think we're going to bring another centre back in summer, and I think we're going to probably agree a deal with one or two centre backs, and then decide on one. And he's definitely one of the guys that's very much in the frame.
Is there anything, obviously, Taylor, you want to add? Could you see Akanji taking Clavan's fourth centre back spot in the squad?
Well, in fairness, Clavan's probably been our best defender this season, considering Van Dijk said he played one game. But obviously, Clavan's getting on now. I don't know is he late, early 30s, 32? Yeah. So obviously he hasn't got much time
left.
Well. Yeah, Lovren's.
I think he's close to 30 as well, so could see him moved on in the next few seasons.
Yeah, I haven't seen much of Kanji at all. I've seen a few compilations of him against for Switzerland in the qualifiers, and I did watch the game against Manchester United. But one thing to note is how Basel, they did come second in their Champions League group this year to Manchester United, and they only conceded 5 goals in 6 games. In comparison, CSKA in Moscow conceded 10, and Benfica conceded 14. So it shows how well he did and how pivotal he was for them in that defence, and they also kept a clean sheet against United as well.
That's pretty good. So, just going to move on to Alisson, throw a bit of a span in the works. Just heads up, none of us are prepared for this. Just a little rumour that we saw pop up. I know me and Taylor are big fans of Alisson. For those of you who don't know, he is the Roma keeper currently, their number 1. And he's also the Brazil number 1 at the moment, keeping Ederson out the side. Been touted as having one of the best distributions of the ball in the Serie A, and one of the best keepers behind obviously Buffon and Handanovic, who are 2 great shot stoppers. What have you seen of Alisson or heard of Alisson, Taylor, that make you think obviously he'd be a good fit for Liverpool?
Well, like Akanji, I haven't watched much Serie A football in the past, but from what I've heard from people that do, he's got great reflexes, great shot stopping, good with his feet. And he's also commanding, something that Mignolet hasn't been, and something Karius we thought he would be. But as seen against Everton from that cross which he dropped, he's still, with nerves, he's still not now 100%. And for Alisson, it's an unknown quantity because the last few seasons he hasn't. Well, in his first season for him, he didn't play as much because obviously they had Wojciech Szczesny starting for them. Yeah. But since he's left to Juventus, he's really come to the fore and been arguably a top 2 keeper in Serie A this season, from what I've heard. And when we look at the performances of Ederson at Manchester City this season, how good he's been for them and how much of a difference he's made, for Alisson to keep him out of the national team, which is doing so well at the moment, clearly must show he's got something.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is in his distribution, and there's something I'd like to see at Liverpool. Like, when you watch Man City and Ederson, the fact that he can throw a ball to the halfway line, like straight away, clears out maybe 3 or 4 of their attackers in the process, how vital that is to starting a counter-attack. And the way that Liverpool play as well with pace, it would be brilliant. If you imagine, obviously, off a corner, if he can really command that area, pick it up and throw it long to Salah or Mane, we'd be on the break and we'd be through, given the pace of our strikers. And that's something I'd love to see, is have someone with that. Because I remember Pepe Reina's kicking as well was also very beneficial for us. And that goals we scored off that. If it's something along those lines where he really can hit a man from long range, he'd be a perfect fit for Liverpool, in my opinion. Grizz, what have you heard of the dealings? What sort of transfer gossip have you heard about Alisson?
I think I can lay claim to sort of starting that rumour.
It was your tweet I saw, to be fair.
It was. I think I was the only one who actually got a bit of info on that, and it's turned out to be true now. The good thing is we are looking for a keeper, and he was just one of 2 keepers that I heard of mentioned. I know there's probably going to be more mentioned because nothing's sort of concrete at the moment, and this is all for summer planning. So he's just one of the guys that we're really interested in. The other one being Jack Butland. So they're the two names that I had, and lo and behold, a couple of weeks later, it's all come out now. So, and there's going to be more names. I read somewhere or heard somewhere someone mentioning sort of PSG are targeting Oblak or him, sort of Alisson or Oblak. So depending on who they get, maybe we could sort of look into Oblak, or even though Oblak would sort of cost obscene amounts of money. But I think FSG have realised now to get the top players, your Caters and your Virgil van Dijks and Lamar's, you've got to pay the market rate, the asking price. So maybe the fee wouldn't scare them off. But Alisson, fantastic distribution. Yeah, just like, you got to remember how good is this Edison chap at City, and to keep him out of the Brazil national team, he must be good. So yeah, we definitely need a keeper. I just don't think. A lot of people are sort of on this. I think a lot of people want Carriers to do well more than sort of believe that he's going to do well, kind of thing. Mignolet, we know he's just not up to it. And I just don't think. I think Klopp's seen the light. I did say I wouldn't be surprised at all if next year we have two new centre backs. Well, Virgil van Dijk being one of them. A new centre back partnership and a new goalkeeper. I'll stick by that right now as well. I definitely know we're going to bring in a goalkeeper in the summer.
Yeah.
If you compare our goalkeepers, Mignolet and Carriers, and then think of who the other top 5 clubs in the league have, do Mignolet or Carriers get into Man City's team? Nope. Tottenham's? Nope. United's? Nope. Arsenal's? Probably not. And then Chelsea's not. So we need to get a keeper like Alisson of that calibre.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I think the keeper it's an underrated role within a side. Like I said, with the distribution, how important that is to start a counter-attack is something we could really benefit from. One thing worth bringing up, obviously, the FA Cup draw for the 4th round just recently happened. Liverpool have drawn West Brom for the next round. Alan Pardew's Baggy side obviously struggled with recently. I think they've only won about 1 or 2 games in the last 20 or something stupid like that. Was it away or at home, Taylor?
At home.
At home. So I could see us progressing through that. What do you think? I will start with you, Grizz, if that's all right.
Sorry, say that again with regards to the FA Cup draw.
Yeah, we've got West Brom at home.
I never liked playing a Pardew team.
He's going to get.
Yeah, unfortunately, he has got a decent record against us, hasn't he? So notorious, sort of, it kills the games, doesn't he? Notorious for just killing the game and frustrating us to death. I don't know if you guys can fill me in. Does this go to a replay if there's not a winner, or will it be?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, so do you know what I mean? He's probably going to just, park the bus, try to get a replay, take us back to West Bromwich. So, I just want to get through. They're the type of games when you play a Pardew team, West Bromwich, you just want to get through the game without any injuries and just get through it. Do you know what I mean? So, look, at home, West Brom, yeah, we're favourites. We should be strong favourites, so it shouldn't be a problem. But I'll much prefer sort of a lower league team, like the lucky Man United have apparently got. So do you know what I mean? Well, there you go, exactly. But yeah, we should win on paper. But
it's kind of play on paper.
We don't play on paper now. Exactly.
What did you think, Taylor?
Yeah, I agree. Obviously, we're the favourites, but with Liverpool, it rarely is ever simple. And a Pardew team, like they did a few weeks ago at Anfield, will look to frustrate us a lot. And it all depends on which team selection Klopp goes with. Does he go strong, like he did against Everton? I'm hoping he does, because an FA Cup is a trophy I think we can win this season, realistically. Obviously, Premier League, Manchester City pretty much have that wrapped up. Champions League, we're in it, but unrealistic now that we've lost Coutinho and his replacement. If we do bring one in, it's likely to be cup tied. So the FA Cup is a competition we should definitely go for, because once we break the duck and get into the players' winning mentality of winning a trophy, we can hopefully push on and the next season challenge for the likes of the Premier League, the Champions League, and the bigger competitions.
I was going to say it's been 6 years since we've won a trophy as well.
And that was the League Cup.
Ridiculous. Yeah, there's the League Cup against Cardiff on penalties.
Yeah.
Remember that one? But it just seems ridiculous to think it's been that long. And it'd be nice to obviously break the duck, like you say, and get Klopp off to hopefully a trophy-laden spell with us. That'd be nice. So let's just move on back onto transfer news now we've got that out of the way. Some of our fringe players that are being touted to go and leave Anfield this January. Danny Ings potentially might be going out on loan to another Premier League outfit. I've heard Swansea would be interested in him potentially now that Abraham's picked up a knock. Lazar Markovic, if anyone can remember who that is, is due a permanent move away from Anfield. He's been due that for some time. However, the most debated of all is Daniel Sturridge, who hasn't really been able to get near the side in the last few weeks, if anyone's noticed. Having spent 6 years at the club as well, obviously he moved, I think, in 2012. Southampton and AC Milan, they've been sniffing around and they're reportedly interested in getting Sturridge into their sides. What are your thoughts, Taylor? Would you be happy to see him go? Is it the time for him to move on potentially?
Yeah, I think it is the time. Like, I remember back when Suarez left, Sturridge was the main man, and he had those injuries in 2014-15. We were also glad when he came back and scored it on his return against West Ham, but he's kind of reached that stage where he's not a Klopp player. He won't do the run-in and the teamwork that Firmino does. And even when he does come off the bench, he's not that type of player that when you're losing, you'll think he'll get you back into the game like he used to. He kind of just looks immobile. He doesn't seem to use his pace as much. He seems to have lost it. So I think if we do need to move him on, we want to bring in another backup striker, because if Ings goes out on loan, that leaves us with Solanke, who hasn't really impressed enough to be made a backup striker for a team the size of Liverpool looking to compete on so many fronts. And with the amount of work rate Firmino puts in, we do need someone who could come in and replace him every now and again. And also he's on £120,000 a week, I think, if that's correct, if someone can finalise that. And that's a big chunk of the wage bill. Yeah, you look at what Sturridge and Milner are on, and you look at what Salah's on, that could easily go to towards tying them down again, or onto new players like Lamar or Mahrez.
Yeah, certainly. What do you think about the Sturridge situation, Grizz? What would you do with him?
I would have got rid of him in the summer, man. Definitely. I was crying out for him to be sort of let go in the summer. It was plain and obvious. Just from sort of your, just watching him play with the naked eye. I mean, it's obvious that his main assets of speed and sort of athleticism, that burst of pace, is just diminished. Still probably the best finisher at the club. Yeah. But unfortunately, Klopp. Well, yeah, no, he's a far better finisher. He's a far better finisher than Salah. But the thing is, Klopp looks for more than just a finisher. Unfortunately, in his forwards, as we've seen, he likes a more rounded player sort of, who can do bits of everything. Sturridge's main asset. Sturridge's powers have diminished, that he's become just a finisher now. Sort of just your, like in the latter days of Robbie Fowler, when sort of, when Robbie Fowler was he came, when in his second spell, when he was not the same, he was just a finisher. Unfortunately, Sturridge's injuries have caught up with him. We should have taken some money. And I know for a fact that 20 teams have made an inquiry for Sturridge. There's 20 teams after him. He's the head of the pack are Southampton and Newcastle. They're very much interested in him. It's just a matter of we're open to offers. I think Danny Ings may be kept until the summer, but Sturridge is. I think Sturridge and Origi are goners.
Yeah, sure. Well, that's all we have time for today. So where can listeners find you off the podcast, lads? Start with you, Grizz.
What's my at? I don't even know my at. I think it's just good old Grizz Khan. Yeah, at Grizz Khan. Yeah. Yeah, well, there you go. Cheers, mate. Nice one for that. Yeah. And just where we do our pod on the Sundays called the Fatback 4 on the LFC Day Trippers. So look out for that. It's a bit of a laugh. A bunch of lads get together, we talk football. So yeah, look out for
Very
that,
much
people.
like this. Very much like this.
Yeah,
Chris.
exactly. Yeah, definitely,
Yeah, and
definitely.
Taylor, where can they listeners find you?
You can find me on Twitter at TaylorSport, but with an I instead of an L, because someone took the version with the L. So I had to give it a capital I.
So make sure that you give them a follow. I think you can follow me at UrbanZonal if you want to go ahead and do that. I know you all want to, obviously. Once again, follow at Anfield Edition for updates on when the podcast is released. Pleasure talking to you lads today. So say goodbye, Grizz.
Goodbye, Grizz.
Nice one. And goodbye, Taylor.
Goodbye.
I'm surprised you didn't say goodbye, Taylor, then. You dare.
And goodbye, Taylor.
It's bye from me as well.